Hi everyone, delonewolf here. Welcome back to the Sunday recap, my weekly vlog where I talk a little bit about my last week in games. As always, we'll start with some EVE Online, and I think I played a little bit less than average EVE Online last week, mostly because it's been super busy at work, but we still got a decent amount in, so it's not by much. I did some exploration. I had one amazing run in exploration where I found 3 out of 10s like right after each other. Both of them dropped some faction pieces. That was pretty good. I also made the Zealot, which I've been testing out, and I think it's going to be quite interesting to take the Zealot in one of these abyssal dead space buckets, but that's also been my focus a little bit. I've been trying to get ready for the expansion coming late May into the Abyss, where, well, for me at least, it's mostly about those abyssal dead space buckets and trying to find cool cruisers to fly in there. So at the moment I'm focusing on what I would call the high-end, some Tech 2s that have some really strong innate defenses and strong resistances, but I think I'll also want to theorize and prepare some Tech 1 ships as well, just so that we can have some idea about the difficulty scaling and what would be accessible or doable for an alpha clone, for instance. Next to that, for preparation, I've also been liquidating some of my assets. I think for all those cruisers I'll want some ISK ready, and that's the reason why I bought the Occator last week, which is a deep space transport ship. It has that nice big hangar bay, 60,000, and I can either tank it really well or make it very slippery. So I've gotten some very interesting feats from the viewers. If I find the time, I might actually share a couple of those with you. But yeah, that's the main reason why I went for the Occator, because I still have several caches of those Excel rigs lying around the universe, and I was actually interested in getting some extra liquid disk from those, and so I made a couple of risky moves. I'll admit it off screen, of course, and I tried to be careful, but I did have some serious value in the Occator a couple of times. Next to that, it's just a weekly blueprint copy run. Sales definitely down a little bit in my experience at the moment. I need to cut down on the prices in order to actually have some sales, and that is, I think, pretty normal. I mean, supply just constantly keeps growing. At some point there will be more people that have their blueprint originals ready for the structures, the structure parts and all of that stuff. So that's what I'm feeling at the moment. There is more supply, so I need to lower my prices in order to be competitive and still unload a decent amount of BBCs. And then we've got a little bit of PI, which I'm also now going to be able to move on like a weekly or bi-weekly basis in the Occator. So all of that is going to smoothen out my my JITA trips by quite a little bit. I think I really will only have to go once a week in the Occator with my loot that I want to sell, with the minerals that I mine and compress, with the PI stuff, and then with all the blueprint copies. So that is another aspect of my preparations, I think, just so that I can focus on putting effort, putting time into the abyssal dungeons right away. Let's hope that all of that stuff comes to CC quite soon, because I do want to test out my ship ideas. Next to EVE Online, of course, we have some World of Warcraft as well. I would say for me, pretty good week in World of Warcraft, because I've been playing a bit less World of Warcraft. I'm really finding my maintenance schedule in order to feel like I'm still doing some stuff, getting ready for Battle for Azeroth, but I don't feel like it's the time to be forcing yourself to play lots of World of Warcraft or to grind out gear or anything like that. In a couple of months, all of that is going to be washed away by the new expansion. So for me, it's a bit of a focus on gold, having fun, and my professions, although last week I really didn't do anything when it comes to my professions, but it's definitely fun. And then the occasional random battleground that I do with a couple of friends is also super fun, of course, especially because we are getting a bit more coordinated. So Daegarn has a feral druid that he plays, and then Vobo, another friend, is now has switched from a feral druid to a holy paladin. paladin, so he heals us, and I mean, we're starting to get there. If we can stay up, we are starting to do decent amounts of damage in those battlegrounds, and when it's the three of us, we can really form like a little mini team that can either go offensive or defensive, and that's a bit more coordinated than the average. Makes for some fun games, some close games as well from time to time, but that is definitely something that is solidifying my choice as for making a horde character, just so that I could play with those guys in Battle for Azeroth. It's really a massive increase in fun and stuff that you can do, options that you give yourself when you can play with a couple of friends rather than have to go this solo, do the whole hunt for a good guild or something like that as well. So I'm very happy with where I am at in World of Warcraft at the moment. I really don't feel like I need to do too much anymore for the shaman. So it's all about having fun, and I do play on a daily basis. They have their PI where EVE Online is a daily PI, just a couple minutes, you know, get everything up and running, and then on a weekly or bi-weekly basis get your rewards out of your planets. They have the same with their follower system, where you basically want to put them out on missions every single day. That's something that I do at least once a day, and they earn you gold, they earn you rep, they earn you whatever it is that you want. You can focus on the different types of missions. So they also have that little hook to get you to log in every single day, and when you do, of course, I tend to do at least my emissary, because that's a chance for a legendary and currency for a legendary that keeps growing there. Who knows, we might still get a cool piece out of that, but other than that, it's all about having some fun in World of Warcraft for me. So with my two main games, you could say, on a little bit less than average last week, well, we had some time, and I put that into Stellaris with the Apocalypse DLC. It's the Skynet Eliminators that I'm playing, so ruthless eliminators that just want to exterminate the whole galaxy. That's the goal there, and it's been going surprisingly well. It's gonna be a bit of a spoiler for the rest of the series, but again, I really don't mind spoiling a little bit for you guys when it comes to the Sunday recap, because I think that the people that look and watch the Sunday recap regularly are some of my most avid fans, and you guys deserve those sneak peeks. So it's going incredibly well. The pace is much slower, you could say, in Stellaris Apocalypse, but if you play the way I do, so to go for fast growth and an economic superiority to the other races and your neighbors, well, it just works a lot better than it did before this patch. So that is actually pretty awesome. I guess because it's a lot harder for the other empires to crush someone that is nearby and that is like the opposite of their own empire. So religious zealots probably won't like pacifists too much, and so they can't just roll over those guys anymore, and so you've got a much more fractured universe that you're up against for a much longer period of time, which is really cool. They still ally themselves, but all of that felt quite manageable. I got one comment who said that, you know, the combat is less interesting, and I do think that I can see that point, because I am basically at the point where I know that there's practically nothing that can happen to my Skynet Eliminators anymore. Maybe those two fallen empires that I've got in the game could turn things around, but even they are only superior to me anymore, and I've got so much space and such a strong economic backbone at the moment that it's gonna be very tough for them. But for me, that's quite nice, right? Just grow very quickly, get a nice economy, then turtle up. I've got strong defensive choke points here and there. I've got 5 or 6 fleets going at this point, and it's a lot of fun. I am now getting very close to that new tech that I do want to show you guys and I want to check out as well. It's the new Titan. So what I'm planning to do is to get a Titan that transforms planets into, if the option exists, into machine worlds. I think the option exists. That would be absolutely perfect for the Skynet Eliminators, of course, and then we'll continue on our path to exterminate all other races, or at least all biological life forms from our universe. Awesome stuff, in my opinion. I am enjoying this one actually quite a lot, and I feel like you have many more options that will tend to become completely different experiences in this DLC. Whereas before, you know, you had this need to try and dominate, but you would always have a big group of other NPC empires that would somehow be the exact opposite of you. And so yeah, I think it's quite interesting, and I look forward to sharing with you guys the rest of that series. And then for my final game, we also have a little bit of Hearthstone. You know, that is when it's quite busy at work and I just want to relax a little bit. I don't want the intensity of World of Warcraft or EVE Online or anything like that. Then I just start up a solo dungeon in Hearthstone. I'm still trying to get a double Death Rattle power deck to work. It hasn't worked out. I still haven't really found one that's got me through the entire dungeon, and that's actually focused on the Death Rattle and is fun to play. I think I've been trying different classes. Rogue might have what it takes to make something like that work, but you need a little bit of luck, of course, with the deck that you build up over all of the different bosses that you defeat. And so I still haven't gotten it to work there, but I want one. I want to see a double Death Rattle deck really crush the dungeon, have very cool effects, and just basically, yeah, be super powerful. But I think it's one of the hardest ones to make work, and that is why at some points it became a little bit frustrating. At the moment I'm like, do one dungeon max a day, because if you want to go for that double Death Rattle, chances are you are going to get crushed by the final boss almost no matter what happens. And that's been my experience here, and it's been very close to being a bit frustrating. So I'm limiting my Hearthstone time at the moment, and on a couple of evenings I even thought maybe I should just exit for a while and try to find something else to do. Maybe go back to some Banished if I want to relax, or maybe just throw something else in the mix here. But I want that Death Rattle deck, and at some point I am going to get it, damn it. And that's been my last week in games, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.